Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. Sallallahu ala Nabi Mohammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Bi rahmatika arhamar rahimin. Okay, so now I've got a little quiz, inshallah, before we go. I'm going to keep it really short, 7:30. We're going to be approaching Isha as well. So very quickly, now we're going to be testing your memories. So there's no lollies today, so this will be free questioning. So you're going to be answering. If you want to answer for free, I don't know if there's any lollies, I'm not sure if there's any lollies, but there's water, you can have water. So having said that, who can tell me the first king who told his son to hatch a plan? Amr ibn Amr, mashallah, you can have water. And who was the king, the Yemeni king who had the dream? And he called two people. I'm going to give you the names, they were really hard names, Ship and Satire. So these were the magicians, the fortune tellers. Who was this king who had this dream? No. Tabbad ibn As'ad is one of the sons of this king. Rabi'a ibn Nasr. Rabi'a ibn Nasr was the king after Amr ibn Amr. He left. And what happens when they're coming back from Medina? Which tribe do they meet? And they say there's treasures which are hidden inside the Kaaba.
It's somewhere in Yemen.
MashaAllah, short-term memory. I heard the women had a long-term memory, but these are the men and women were the same boat. Huzayn was a tribe who hated the Yemenis, and also they hated the Makkans, the Qurayshis, and they wanted to get rid of him. So now Christianity comes to Arabia now. What was the first series? Idol worship came to Arabia. And who was the idol worshipper? Who brought idol worship to Arabia? The leader of Khuzaa. What was his name?
Amr ibn Luhay.
Amr ibn Luhay, that's right. And he's the one who brought idol worship. So who brought Judaism to Arabia? The Tubba. What's his name? Brother just said his name. Ibn As'ad. Tubba Ibn As'ad. That's his name. And so he now comes back with, the incident, it's like a chimney, they have a room, they open the door, that's when the fortune tellers burn. And now there's a city that we need to be very careful. In Makkah, it's in Makkah at the moment, it's in south of Makkah. The city is Najran. And Najran has a very importance in the history of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In the history. And so Najran is in current day, it's in Makkah, it's not in Yemen. So back in the days, it used to be part of Yemen. So this was the last place of the border of Yemen. And this is where the Christianity, how it arrived from this city. Before we go into that, we would like to talk about what happens to Taban ibn Asad. Taban ibn Asad now dies, and he has two sons. One of them takes power, and the other one's staying there as well. One is Amr ibn Taban ibn Asad, and the other one is Hassan. So Hassan is the one who becomes the leader. Now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala really blesses this man, and he becomes very proud. He becomes very arrogant. When we say Al-Mutakabbir, that's the only name for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the disease that came into shaitan as well. Why didn't shaitan bow down to Adam alayhi salam? It's because he became Al-Mutakabbir. And he said he's better than him. And we say it all the time. We sometimes, if Allah blesses us with something, we have this kibr in us, the seed that comes, and that's why it's called shaitani seed. We all have it. Somehow it comes out. So Hassan, the Tubba of Yemen, says, I'm really powerful now, and I want to take over the whole world. And he says to his cabinet, that who is the most strongest power in the region. And they say the strongest power in the regions are the Persians. So he says, let's start with the Persians. First I'm going to fight them, and I'm going to kill them, and then I'm going to go to the Romans, then I'm going to kill them, and then I will go to the Ethiopians, and that's how I'm going to be ruling the whole world. I will rule the Arab, and I will rule the Ajam. I'll rule everyone. Now the cabinet said, this guy has become crazy, and he's become very proud of his power. And they try to reason with him, and they say, we are strong, but we cannot defeat the Persians. The Persians are superpower. The Persians have been in this region for 1,800 years. And they're very powerful. So, if you guys don't know that history, the Romans and the Persians, when Islam came, these two were the superpowers. They had been in the region for close to 2,000 years. And they were really powerful. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought leaders like Umar ibn Khattab, Khalil bin Walid, Uthman ibn Affan, Abu Ubaidah ibn Jarrah, radiallahu anhum. They were the leaders who destroyed the kingdom of the Persians, and they destroyed the kingdom of the Romans. Within 15 years of Islam in Medina, Islam was ready to take on the Persians. And they were ready. If you read it, inshallah, when we go in the Seerah, we'll talk about the Battle of Qadisiyah. We're going to talk how Islam took such a great army of the Romans, how they fought them. So we're going to talk about these, inshallah. So now, the cabinet tries to reason with this man, and they say, we cannot defeat these people. So, leave your intention that you want to do that. Allah has blessed you, so be happy with what you have. And you will kill our people if you fight the Persians. The king says, I do not care. If you do not come with me, I will order the army and I will take on everyone. Now, the cabinet was scared for the kingdom of Yemen, because they knew if they will fight the Persians will take over. So they hatched the plan. So now one more thing I want to tell you about Hassan. Hassan was a very paranoid guy. He was a very paranoid person. No one could go into his hujra, into his room where he would stay, that go alone in there. They had to get searched, and they had to look for all the weapons they got, and then they were allowed. So these cabinet ministers planned that let's go and kill him. Because if we do not kill him, he's going to kill the whole kingdom. So they go to his brother Amr. And they knew Amr was the only one who could go into in the room of the king without being searched. And they say to the king, and this is where the greed comes in. This is another disease which has been with mankind for many years. The greed, the lust. And so when they go to Amr, the cabinet minister, and they say that if you kill your brother, we will make you the next king. There's one guy, and I want you to remember this name, Zuru Ayn. Zuru Ayn is just one person in the cabinet. He is the one who says, do not kill your brother. If you kill your brother, Allah will send His punishment over you. You will not be able to sleep. You will not be able to forgive yourself. Now I want to just have a little bit of full stop over here for us to imagine now. How many of us, we sit over here, or we know our family members, where we are fighting our own brothers. We haven't seen our own brothers and sisters. We don't talk to them. We know these people, or maybe it's one of us that are actually going through this. And we become so immersed in our own lifestyles that we don't want to know anyone from our family members. How many of us we know our family members who are poor and they need our help? But when the time for the help comes, we will help a stranger, but we're not going to help our family member. Why? Because his situation might become better. And this is what it is. If you look at that, son is trying to take the father down, and the brothers are trying to take the brothers, and the sisters are trying to take the sisters down, just in order to become or to gain something from this dunya. And Amr does not listen to Zuru Ayn. And Zuru Ayn gives him a letter. He says, I want to give you a letter. And do not open this. When the time comes when I tell you, then open this letter. And he listens to him, he takes the letter, and he does not open it, and he kills his brother. He goes inside the room. The brother looks at him while he's making a drink for him. He turns around and he stabs him, and his brother dies. And the cabinet, mashallah, very thiqah. They were beautiful on their words, thiqah people, you know. So they said to him, we told you that you're going to become the leader, you are the leader. And he becomes the leader. Now, he suffers. What does he suffer with? You know, when you don't go to sleep in the night, you need sleeping pills. You know why you need sleeping pills? Because you have hurt someone in your life somewhere. And that's why you need sleeping pills. And that's what happens to him as well. He cannot go to sleep. He suffers from insomnia. He's having it hard. He cannot function in the daytime, because in the night he cannot go to sleep. And when the daytime comes, he's suffering from tiredness and fatigue. And he is now going paranoid and crazy. And he calls the doctors. And the doctors say, after listening to the story, this is what you've done, and that's why you cannot go to sleep. He says, I know what I've done. But tell me, what's the remedy? How can I come out of it? He says, there's only one remedy. All the people who told you to kill your brother, kill them all, one by one. Only then you will come out of this remedy. That's the only remedy that you'll be surviving. And he says, I'll do that. I'll kill each one of them. And he starts killing each one of them. And then comes the time of Zul Ayn. And now Zul Ayn says, I gave you a letter. Before you want to kill me, I want you to read what the letter says. I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. This is a poetry he writes. And Yemenis, you know, we spoke about them, they're Arabs. And he writes just 2 lines in there. And he opens the letter. And he says, Ala man yashtari sahran bilawm. And Sa'idun man yabitu qarira ayn. So he says, who is so warped that the one who buys sleeplessness? Who is so warped? Who is so stupid or crazy that will buy sleeplessness? Allah actually, Sa'idun man yabitu qarira ayn. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you sleep. You were sleeping, you were having a great time, you were happy with that. But how crazy you were that you bought for yourself insomnia, that you bought for yourself fatigue. And then he says, فَأَمَّا حِمْيَرٌ. So Himyar is actually the people of Yemen. Ahlul Yemen will call Himyar or Himyar. So he says, فَأَمَّا حِمْيَرٌ غَدَرَتْ وَخَانَتْ. He said, all the people, Ahlul Yemen, they were the ones who plotted, and they were the ones, the Khana, they were the ones who were the deceived. And then he says, فَمَعْذِرَةُ إِلَهِ لِذِيرُ عَيْنٍ. And the only one who was there, who kept on giving you excuses not to kill your father, your brother, that was Zero Ayn. So Zero Ayn, when he reads this letter, he leaves him. He says, yes, you're right, Sadaqt. You are the one who told me that not to kill my brother. I listened to everyone else. And he lets him go. And so after that, now, what happens is, when Ammar dies, Amr ibn Taban, he dies. Now, there is a situation in Yemen, which is a very difficult situation. Now everyone wants to get power. All the kids of Rabi'a ibn Nasr, the nephews, and all these other people, they want to have power. So there is an infighting that starts now. and they all start killing each other. They all want to become the leaders, and there is no one capital now. So whoever is in his palace, they have, by force, they want to become leader, they want to get people on their side. So the main palace, there is a guy who is a highway robber, and he is very famous in Yemen. Just trying to get his name. If anyone knows, they can remind me. Yeah, Lukhunaya is a highway robber in the time of Amr. He was very famous even in the time of Taban ibn Asad, but he had no power. What he did over the days, he was an evil man, Lukhunaya. He plotted, and after he plotted, he made a very strong standing in one of those areas in Yemen. And when he heard that the Yemeni people are fighting, now he hatches a plan. He hatches a plan to actually come and to take over the palace. And it says Lukhunaya actually comes and he kills one of the family members of Rabi'a ibn Nasr who was in the palace, the ones who was leading at that time, and he takes over the palace. When Lukhunaya comes in power, this guy's an evil man. He is a man who has no morals. He's a man who has no respect for anyone. He starts unlawful acts with women, and he deceives, and he plots, and he's one of the most evil people, and everyone hates him. Now there in the story, fast forwarding the story, there is one of the children, the descendants of Rabi'a ibn Nasr. His name is Zunawas. Zunawas actually, with some help of the rebels, he gets into the palace. And just to cut the story very short now, he gets to Lukhunaya and he kills him and he stabs him. And he takes over the kingdom. Now the Yemenis, the Arabs, get the kingdom again and they establish their kingdom. Now let's go to how Christianity came here. Remember I spoke about Najran. And in Najran, there is a very rich person who's recently bought a slave. And this slave is Fimeon. Fimeon is actually a Syrian, and he is a great worshipper of Isa alayhi salam. He's a Christian. And he is someone who does da'wah. You have Tablighi Jamaat over here, the people who go to different places, and they do da'wah. And there is a funny thing, the Arabs will relate to it better than anyone else. My friend, he is very skeptic of Tablighi Jamaat. They always use the word khuruj. The word khuruj in linguistic terms is actually used for fi sabilillah. It's being recorded, so I'm not going to go into much detail so the Arabs understand what fi sabilillah is. So my friend is very skeptic. He's from Qatar, and he goes to this Tablighi guy, and he says to him, where are we going? Are we going to Palestine or are we going to Sham? He looks at him, no, brother, we're going to the masjid next door. He said, so where are the weapons? And so this man just got, he's like, no, brother, what? He said, you just said you made i'lan, you said khuruj. So I'm ready. Where are we going? I'm ready for the khuruj. So, yes, these people, the brothers, they're great people. So like Fimeon is also one of those people who does khuruj. So he's in Ethiopia, in Habasha at that time. And the Arabs, you need to know, if you were alone, and if you were good looking, even a man, and if you were coming, this is the story of Suhaib bin Rumi, the story of Suhaib bin Rumi, also how he became a slave, and also Salman al-Farisi, how they were taken a slave. So what happens, Fimeon is giving his da'wah, and one of the people gets him, and they make him a slave. And subhanAllah, this is a very just person. He understands the qadr of Allah, and he says, you know what, Allah wants that, I'm happy with that. He's happy. One of the Yemenis from Najran, he buys Fimeon. And now Fimeon, with this Yemeni master, goes to Najran. And when he comes, he looks at in the night, one day, the master looks, Fimeon has some powers. As a slave, or some people would not understand, the children especially, Slave is not, my fellow, the little children over here, and also the teenager, the children, the slave, the linguistic meaning of slave was your master is everything now. You don't go to sleep if your master wants you to stand over there. It's not the slavery that what we say to our bosses when we get angry and you tell your boss, am I your slave? That slave does not even get paid. Did you know that? That's what slave is. He's not free. There's no money he's getting. There's no clothing he's going to get. Even food if his master's going to give him food. You want to know what really slavery in 20th century is? Look at the black Africans. What the white people did to them. The Americans. The Americans had no civilization. You know, worse civilization, worse accent, worse accent. Americans don't even know how to speak English. I mean it. It's the worst accent, the Americans. I mean, I'm very skeptic about Americans. So, for everything, and on top of that, the worst president as well. That was the only thing that was left. So, what happens is now, Finion is sitting, after he served his master is sleeping, now he's worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a very strong worshipper. Remember, we spoke about all the adyan before Islam were accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There were people who were Ibrahimi because they believed in one God and they believed in Ibrahim. There were people who were Yahudi because they believed in Musa alayhi salam. They were Muwahid. They believed in one God. And these were Masihi, and so they were the people who believed in one God again and they believed in Isa alayhi salam. So Finion was making this ibadah and he's worshipping Allah. The master sees this special light coming from somewhere and he's amazed. He's like, who are you? Where is this light coming from? And he looks at it as an opportunity and he starts talking to him. He says, I am the follower of Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam was a Nabi of Allah. Isa alayhi salam told us there is one Allah, one God, and we only worship one God. We don't worship anyone other than Allah. And then he started saying, we were given a book, a kitab by our Anbiya. And then we follow that book. It has the rulings and kada wa kada. And he just keeps on going. And so after that, he says, become Muslim, my master. Muslim, when I say it, means over here, believe in one God. Become a muwahid. And he says, no, I cannot. And he says, okay, master, you worship a tree. The people of Najran, they used to worship a tree. He says, if I ask my Allah to burn that tree, will you worship my Allah? And he says, yes. And Finion is very smart. He says, collect all the people, and then we will go to the tree. And Finion sits over there, all the people come, and he starts making dua. And he says, oh Allah, you are the one. Oh Allah, this is an opportunity for us to bring so many people to the deen of Allah, deen of Isa. And so Allah help me. And he makes dua, and he makes dua. And then a lightning comes from the sky, and it hits the tree and it starts burning. Ever since that day, till the people came to see Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is over 100 years, they were Christians. They were devout Christians. They believed in Jesus. And when they came to Medina, even then they were Christians. And they believed in Jesus. And they have everything. And they, whatever was said in their books, they learned from this guy, Finion. And they expanded on the religion. So it is said now, everyone in Najran on that day became a Christian. So we'll stop over here, inshallah. And now we're going to talk about Ashab al-Ukhdud in episode 4. Ashab al-Ukhdud, you all know that, but we're going to talk about this. Again, there's a story from Yemen, and it's an important story. And after that, we will go and start talking about Quraysh, and we'll start from Abd Manaf, and then we'll go down to Hashim, and Abdul Muttalib, and then Abdullah, and all the brothers, and then we'll come to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the birth of Rasulullah, according to my analogy, should be by episode 7 or 6. So sit tight. We need to know how the Arabs were. We need to know the society, how it was, before we go into the nitty and gritty of all that. So أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفر الله إنه الغفور الرحيم. So now I want to give everyone an opportunity, inshallah, the kids particularly, and the young ones at heart and the young at the body as well, as the famous dialogue of my brother Ahmed, young at heart and young at body. Those people can sit back and relax, but the youngsters who are really young in the mind as well and young in their bodies, and the children over here, I have a special guest today. I have my youngest son today, so he's here he never listens to me in the house, but he did a great job. 30 minutes he sat down and listened to me. I think I should be giving him a lolly, a snake. But never listened to me in the house. I mean, just today when we were playing outside, they were riding the scooty, and he was just riding, and it was time for Maghrib, and I'm calling him, Abdullah, and I got angry. Did you change your name? I said, no, I didn't. My name is Allah. Why are you not listening then? Am I saying something else? So the kids, when you call them by their names in the house, they change their names. They don't remember their names. So maybe you should call them by kunya, and that's the great thing. The Arabs, they have the kunya. They used to give, and this is amazing. The Ajam should listen to it. When you give a kunya to a child, it makes him feel bigger. That's why the Arabs would do it. They would call their little ones by the kunya Abul Qasim. It's the kunya of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So give your kids some kunya, maybe they would realize that they become a father or mothers. And the kunya is for girls as well. Don't think it's a religion for men all the time. We were taught when people just get this, it's on the camera as well. I mean, the kunya is for the women as well. So yes, and so anyone, if you've got any questions, especially the young at bodies, not the young at hearts, you can ask me later. But the young at bodies, it's a session for you guys. Today I'm not going to give you any lesson. Actually, I can give you a lesson today. I mean, we spoke about in the khutbah, if you guys did attend the khutbah today, we spoke about being conscious of things around you. It's important. How many times we are busy in this dunya and the gadgets and everything, whatnot, but we become very, absent-minded of the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for us to comprehend and to look at those things, and it will be easy for us in order to just make sense that there is God. And especially the youngsters, you really struggle, and the ones who are born in Western countries, the biggest struggle for you is to believe in ilm al-ghayb. You will believe dynamo when he walks on the water. That's easy for the youngsters to believe. Some of you probably don't know what dynamo is. He's a black magician who actually walks on the water. Later on they told us when he was walking on River Thames, he's actually walking on the glass slabs. And all the kids were like, whoa, he's walking on water. He's actually not walking on water. So these are the people that we believe in. If someone takes a monkey out from their hat, oh, mashallah. We believe these guys. If someone takes a rabbit out of their sleeve, we'll believe them. And so this is something. But when it comes to ilm al-ghayb, when we say there's Jibreel alayhi salam to the kids, they say Jibreel, okay, there must be Jibreel. So, yeah, see, my son's laughing. So, when you tell them about Musa and Isa and all these miracles that he hit the stick and the water was parted. I told this story to my son. I said, Imam Qurtubi said, this is a lesson for you guys, the young ones. Today, Imam Qurtubi said, the water that came from the finger of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that came between the bone and the flesh, is better than Zamzam. I didn't say it. Imam Qurtubi said this. Now some of you are thinking, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam were given the powers by Allah that water started coming out. Because Sahaba said, we don't have water to drink or make wudu. Allah gave him a miracle. 1,600 people, and even some narrations 2,000 people made wudu and drank water. The water was coming out from the finger. And some of you are like, whoa. Don't look at your finger, because water is not going to come till you die as well. I'll tell you that. That was Rasulullah. That's what we're learning here about his lifetime. In our fingers, the water is never going to come out. But maybe, you never know. If you are someone who wants to bring a miracle, to bring someone to deen, Allah can show miracles even today on the hands of the people who are the wali of Allah. There are walis of Allah who have miracles even today. But don't believe in these miracles. You know, in my country, they give these miracles. It's like, these are amazing. Like, it's beyond their imagination. It's like you can make, you fool someone. This is even fooling them beyond imagination. They say, one of the person really respected Quran so much, he used to put the Quran up in the ceiling, and every day would respect the Quran, and one day he became the Hafiz of Quran. Don't buy that. Don't buy that. You never saw Quran, and you're telling me you became the Hafiz of Quran. Don't buy that. You know, you have to strive for it. You have to strive in order to get it. Majeda wajada. You strive and you get it. It's not going to happen like that. And that's why some people of us in our communities, they put the Quran right on the top. Right on the top. In some beautiful wrap. And it's over there. Don't touch it. You'll become a Hafiz one day. They don't read Quran, and that's why we make taklif even for Quran as well. Yes, we need wudu for reading Quran, but don't make it a taklif. That if you have a translation, ulama, jumhur agrees, if there is any other language in Quran other than the Arabic, you don't need wudu for that. If you have a translation which has Arabic and English, let the kids read it, at least try to understand it. We make these things so far away from the reach of our kids. You know, there is a thing in Arabic, ta'zim. It's important. Ta'zim is important for things. But don't exaggerate your ta'zim. Then you will just be kissing the stuff. You're never going to be acting upon it. We just keep on kissing the Quran. But then if someone asks, well, what does it say? Oh, no, we were just told to just kiss. And it will help you. It will never help you. And that's why we are here to learn the Seerah of Rasulullah. Why? We love Rasulullah, but we need to know who he was. You're never going to love someone from your heart until you know who he was.